This is what we call a rolling start.
Love that. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Drunken Ship Podcast. My name is Bryan, and I'm here with
Jordan.
And today we're going to be talking about why Netflix is fucking dying.
And while we're starting so fast, it's because we're both 30 minutes late because of traffic. And then we forgot our camera mount. And then right now you're seeing with the camera, how you're seeing us, if you're watching on YouTube, it's just taped down.
Yeah.
We just put masking tape down on it.
It looks like, what's the thing from Addams Family? It looks like Uncle Thing.
Oh,
but
yeah.
just covered in masking tape.
It looks like a Blue Man Group, like midway through the paint. They just dumping blue paint over it. It just from the top down, it's just swooping down.
It's just dripping with masking tape.
So if you see the video and it goes sideways at some point, you know what happened.
Yeah. We'll fix it in post, but in here, I will tilt it back just so you can see how fucked it is.
Yeah. This is insane. This is insane, though, what we're doing.
But anyways, stop moving to Charlotte, people. There's too many of us here. Like 8 o'clock in the morning.
I was talking to some coworkers, and they were saying the exact same thing. Someone asked me at work, they were like, where are you from? And I'm like, initially I'm from Virginia. And he's like, yeah, I don't meet many natives. I'm like, no, I don't either. Like, if you look at someone's license plate, it's all over the place.
Anyone that's in Charlotte was not born in Charlotte, I guarantee.
It's rare.
It's fucking rare. So stop moving around. There's too many of us here. The traffic's bad. The cars can't make it. People drive like assholes in Charlotte.
Southern New York right now, man. Actually, there's a lot of people from New York come down here.
That's true. Yeah.
And they're like, man, these prices are cheap. These apartments are cheap. It's like, well, stop moving here, and they'll stay cheap.
You made your bed. Fucking live in it.
Yeah, shit in your bed, bro. Anyway,
so yeah, today we're going to be talking about Netflix dying.
Yeah, so we touched briefly on this last week.
Yeah.
And just Netflix is just kind of just eating it right now. I mean, they've went real south lately.
Yeah.
I mean, within just a couple weeks, they've lost 200,000 subscribers in their Q1. They've lost 35% of shares.
Yeah. Q1, for anyone that doesn't know, is like the first quarter.
The first quarter of the year, yeah. So that's like in January, they just lost.
January, yeah. That was the most registered losses that they've had since they've been a company, which is a decade.
Damn, they took a real nosedive.
Continuously growing for a decade, even if it wasn't like a significant amount of growth, but they were growing for a decade, and this January was the first time that they lost subscribers.
And that's not even the end of it, because it's also predicted they're going to lose about 2 million more in quarter two.
Which I think their user base is like 2.22 million people.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
no, like 22 point something million people.
Okay.
They have like a massive amount of subscribers.
Right.
So 2 million is a significant hit, but it's not like the end of the platform.
It'd be bigger for a smaller company, but
yeah,
it's that's still a pretty big dive, though. I mean, that's a lot of people.
But the interesting thing about Netflix is that, like, of course, they've been making a lot of like really shitty decisions lately, specifically with content and sort of the way that they are deciding what content to greenlight and what content not to greenlight. We'll get into that a little bit, but I also think a good amount of the subscriber loss can genuinely be attributed to them dropping their services in Russia.
Right.
Just after the Ukraine thing, and I don't know if we talked about this last episode, but the Ukraine versus Russia conflict.
I think everyone knows by now.
Yeah, a lot of companies have withdrawn their services from Russia as a sort of like a protesty notion. Which is fine, but that may register for a significant portion of the loss of subscribers that Netflix experience, because Russia's pretty fucking big.
Right. But half of them people are using Fire Sticks anyway. I mean, if you get a Fire Stick and it's jailbroke, it's usually from Russia. So I don't know if they really lost that many out of Russia.
Yeah. So, they have their own situation going on. I think that's a minority of the subscriber loss, in my opinion, for sure. I think Netflix has been making a lot of fucking bad decisions over the last 2 years.
Yeah, of course. Slowly but surely. I mean, it's just snowballing at this point.
Yeah. So what do you think is contributing to like the death of Netflix? Like, in your opinion, as a Netflix
just
user?
Shit shows, just like almost like a combination of things. But really, I think that the biggest thing is just like their. Hang on, I'm gonna fix the camera real quick.
What's wrong with it?
The tape.
So yeah, I definitely think that like the combination of like Netflix having a lot of like really bad Netflix originals coming out as of lately. I think what was the last big Netflix original? Was it Stranger?
Stranger Things, I think Ozark may have been. That's a huge one.
Ozark, yeah. It's like The Great Value, Breaking Bad.
So there's a lot of good shows. There's a lot of shows I do like, but I think there's a unholy amount of bad shows on Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like they thrive on just making, or it's not like they're thriving on making bad shows, but they just throw so much money and give so many studios
bad shows
just to do them, and then they just turn out garbage because there's like, I don't know, this is like they give them free range and there's no one really there, but that's a good and bad thing.
Here's what it feels like. It feels like the Netflix executives are in their office going like, just give me 3 scripts. He reads the 3 scripts and I was like, wow, I fucking hate that one. $3 million.
It's like,
it's so
no,
bad.
it's kind of like this one's terrible. All right, $3 million, and then this one that I kind of like is going to get $45 billion. Yeah. It's just kind of like but they're like, I knew a while back, I remember reading, I can't remember what the exact number for it was, but they were in debt. A lot. Yeah. They're a massive amount of debt.
They're in that because of, and this is the kind of the interesting thing about Netflix is that when Netflix started, it was an aggregate streaming site. That means that like all of the content that was on Netflix was made by other people, and other people would essentially pay Netflix, or Netflix would pay them to get the license into Netflix, so that people could watch it. Yeah. That was like the formula. It was like, here, we'll buy your license, we'll play it, and whatever you get, like X amount of like from the streaming dividends.
Do you remember the beginning of Netflix?
Yeah,
how it
used to
work? The DVDs, dude.
DVDs.
I used to. That's how I've been
I've
on
had
Netflix
since it started.
Yeah,
I've been on Netflix since
same.
I was like 12.
You can get like, I remember you had a limit. You could get three DVDs like at a time. You could have them as long as you wanted. There was no late fee. That was like their big thing. I remember when they first started was no late fees, because it was directly competing with Blockbuster.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, well, you can just get it right in the mail, and then when you're done, just mail them back, and then we'll
send you the other 3.
And then even I remember the first time they launched their online service, their streaming service.
Yeah.
That was so bare bones, and they had so many garbage movies on there. But I was like, this is insane. I can just pick a movie and watch it.
Yeah, but back when it started, Netflix was the only service that did that.
Yeah, dude, it was like so revolutionary.
Yeah. But now we have Disney Plus, HBO Max, Hulu, fucking Showmax, fucking Peacock, fucking HBO.
It's like oversaturated. Well, and now we're kind of reversing into just a shitty reverse cable. Yeah.
Reverse cable.
I know that, dude. I say this every single time, and I keep saying it. Actually, I would love to someone go back and count how many times I've actually said this over the podcast, because I've been saying that it's going to reverse.
Oh yeah,
like cable was just going to go onto internet, because that's where we've for years we've been ending up in just, all right, this streaming service is like, well, HBO is going to take all their stuff and put it on their service, and everyone's going to keep doing that over and over because there's money to be made.
Yeah. So Netflix served as a template to show people that money can be made in streaming platforms. Like Netflix happened, then Hulu happened, and then like it just went down the fucking...
Yeah. And you never want to be the base.
You never
want to be the base, because you're the base, because you're testing everything out.
Yeah.
You've already done the research and everything for someone else. And then someone else is like, I can improve on that. I have a new, fresh perspective on that.
Yeah.
Let me build upon you, and I'm going to topple you. I'm going to make so much more money than you. And that's what's happening.
I feel like HBO Max is what Netflix used to be.
Yeah.
In terms of like movie quality and like early releases, like the HBO Max is what Netflix used to be.
HBO Max, I think, has like the power for it though. That early release, that whole thing, I think is like, when you can get it on the streaming service before a DVD, I think that changed a big, massive, especially like when they were launching stuff. When like COVID was going on, there like the theaters wasn't really like doing anything,
HBO got the streaming,
and they were just streaming stuff. Which, I mean, a lot of people had a lot of problems with that. But when they were just streaming movies the day of the release on the streaming platform, I mean, that shot them up high. I mean, like that moved probably so many sales for them.
Absolutely, HBO is an interesting spot, because HBO has always been kind of like the movie guy.
Yeah, like
even
for
more on
anything
cable.
for like adult content, high quality, big budget stuff.
HBO has always been that guy.
Yeah.
And I remember even as a kid, like watching movies in HBO and just being like, "Oh, this is amazing."
Yeah, like you if you had HBO.
Yeah.
And I remember we had HBO for a little while when I was a kid, and I was like, when you had HBO, I'm like, dude, if you want to go to that's the movie channels.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want to watch a good movie, uncensored, you know, like anything goes on there, and it's good. Like they only play good stuff.
Yeah,
anything they know that
I
works.
watched The Godfather was HBO.
Yeah. I mean they only played bangers. They never played anything like. Well, I mean that's take that with a grain of salt. That's subjective, but yeah, it's always been
good.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like with the addition of HBO in the market, the addition of Hulu in the market, the addition of everything, everyone's like, Netflix doesn't have a big as a pool of content to choose from anymore.
Really what's happened is a lot of companies, since they wanted to start their own streaming service, they pulled out a lot of their content. I mean, pulling NBC's Peacock, right?
Yeah.
Them pulling out The Office was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And then Friends, I think it used to be on there, and they pulled it off, and it's on HBO now and everything like that. They've lost someone paid a lot of money for Friends, I remember.
I don't remember.
It was like $54 million.
It's crazy to me that Friends still has that buying power.
Dude, Adriana watches it every day.
Really? That's crazy. I hate that show.
It's kind of like a... People will say it's like a white ripoff of like Living in Color or something like that.
Kind of is. That's great. Netflix is in a weird spot because after losing... And here's the thing. Like Netflix originals, when they started... When they were like the first, there were like 3 Netflix originals in the platform. I remember it being good because the shows were good. It was like Stranger Things. They had the Making a Murderer, like the original Making a Murderer. They had Ozark come out.
You know, like before they started doing a lot of. I remember like when they started kind of doing their originals. Yeah. They used to have a really nice selection of like good movies. Yeah. Like they used, because I mean that's where the whole like Netflix and chill thing started, because they just had a laundry list of just good movies and TV. It used to be just movies,
right? And
then when they started getting into the TV territory, I feel like that's kind of like they were like when they started doing that,
when they started putting TV,
and then that's where the binging stuff started happening.
And what the binging model is another reason why I think Netflix is. We talked about this, and I didn't want to agree with you last time on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just felt
you just had to be my opposition.
Yeah, I just fuck Crockett. But I didn't want to agree with you. But I do agree that the binging model started the slow death. Yeah. For Netflix.
You know how I knew, like when I knew binging was like bad when Stranger Things. Can't speak. Stranger Things. Yeah, I know, because we got that rolling start. I was like, go. When season 3 came out, and it came out on like July 4th. I remember because that was like their like at the time they're releasing that was the theme in the show.
Right.
When that released, I remember people up until that point, people were gassing up. They're like, I can't wait for season 3. Like it's gonna be crazy. Within I think that day that it came out, show just fell. I mean, like within like 2 days, fell off. No one cared because everyone watched it, and then everybody was at just different points in the show that no one could really tweet about it
or talk about it.
It was like because they're like they don't want to spoil it, and then after a week, people were like done with the show, and everyone just took it at a different moderations of like how when they wanted to watch it, and just no one just wanted to share their thoughts at the same time. So it just died off. Like no one cared.
Yeah. The same thing happened to JoJo's Part 6.
Yeah, Stone Ocean.
It had like 6 days of like really good conversation around it, and then nobody's talking about Jolene anymore.
So JoJo's like, we talked about this last week about how JoJo is like, when Golden Wind was coming out, it was like every week there was like, it was something special. Like you would get hop on Twitter like the day after the episode released.
Just memes and
dude, it was so much fun. And you would just have conversations throughout, and it was fun to talk and chat and to people and stuff like that. Same thing with Game of Thrones. When Game of Thrones, oh my God, that Monday morning.
That was the last time I remember. I don't like Game of Thrones.
Right.
That was the last time that I remember culture, American culture, just being unified.
It was, because it would be like everyone would stop. Everyone would gas up, watch it, and then everyone would just be like, that was wild. Whoa, I can't believe what's going to happen next week and everything on that Monday or that Tuesday or just throughout that week. It was like a big deal. But like when you do the binging model, you implicate this. It just people take it at different times, and it's not a slow pace. It's not a slow burn. I think it's a terrible marketing because you don't get to. So I think like viral memes and all that, I think that's a huge thing for marketing for like these companies.
Absolutely.
It's free. it's free because you're letting the consumers just market your thing for you.
Yeah.
You're taking that away completely when you do a binge model. It doesn't matter any more to that point. So you have some hype up to the show, which isn't like, it's not like crazy amount.
And so like maybe the binge model worked 4 or 5 years ago, right? Maybe like because that was a novelty back then.
Mm-hmm.
It worked and people liked it.
Well, it's because like people hadn't had it before.
Yeah.
People kept saying like, man, I wish I could just watch like all
Everything
of them.
in a while.
In one set. And it was great and it worked for them for a while.
Yeah.
And I think this is why maybe we're kind of jumping all over the place on the thing here because I had it like lower here. But like for like that, like I think it's just Netflix is starting to become a relic of itself.
Yeah.
Like this is what I meant earlier when I said you don't want to be the base for something. You want to build upon that because now it's kind of like they burnt. I actually watched a documentary on Netflix the other night.
Oh shit! There's a documentary on Netflix.
No, not about Netflix, but it was I was watching it on Netflix.
On Netflix.
It was about Abercrombie and Fitch, like how their company like fell and everything.
Yeah.
And the title of it's called Burning White Hot, and white hot means is like I guess
you're very successful.
You're too successful for like a
Yep.
short period of time, and I think Netflix was kind of burning. They kind of had all these great ideas early on, but they've just like longevity of that is burnt. They burnt out.
It wasn't sustainable. It became unsustainable. And the part of the reason why it became unsustainable was, again, like I said, they built the technology for the streaming. They built the basis. They built the market for streaming services, really. Mm-hmm. And so once everybody started, they backed out. They took their properties with them. They were like, oh, if Netflix can do it, I can do it. Let me just take my shit. Netflix was at that moment, I think when that started happening, Netflix did the push for Netflix originals.
Yes.
And that's when we started seeing the first iterations of like the good shows, which I think the first really big one was like Stranger Things.
That and Ozark. I can't remember which one came out first.
I know that they made a couple of movies. They made fucking J.J. Abrams, Cloverfield, the Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah.
They've adopted a couple of animation studios and done Netflix originals through animation.
Let me just sidetrack on that a little bit. The animation quality on Netflix is god awful.
It depends on what show it is.
Really?
It depends because Castlevania has some of the best.
Well, that's their own studio. That's in house. But if they're streaming something else, I remember watching Hunter x Hunter on Netflix or Hunter however you want to pronounce it because people. I was watching that on Netflix and I was like, this kind of looks bad.
What do you mean it looks bad? Like
just the quality of it is like 720p or something like that.
Really? How is that problem?
It is pretty bad.
Do you have the 4K?
I don't have. No, I'm not gonna pay. Fucking Netflix $25 to watch some like
$20.
Selling Sunset in 4K.
Hey, listen,
selling some big boo bimbo sell of $25 mention. No, I'm not gonna pay that.
I have it.
Yeah,
I balled out at it, and it doesn't even matter half the time because like a lot of the shows are not 4K.
It's pointless. 4K. But I switched over to Crunchyroll and it was like crisp, but clean, like clean line.
The codec is way better. I think it's because Netflix isn't like remastering or doing anything like that. Like Crunchyroll puts a little bit of work into the lossless codecs.
Probably.
That go into it. Anyway, but yeah, I agree. Netflix has some relatively shitty quality.
Yeah.
I recently watched Evangelion on.
Oh, it's terrible. I watched some of it too, and it was.
I couldn't watch it anywhere else. Really, it wasn't on anything else. Maybe
that used to be the thing about Evangelion. Like this sidetracking again. That like it was a niche thing to find, and you had to go like search like some weird site for them, and then they had a download of like an MP4 that you had to download, and it was so sketchy. Literally, that's how it used to be.
Used to be a porn site.
It was a very niche thing that you back in the like 2010 something like that.
Mm-hmm. I remember. So, but Netflix, like apart from their like some other animations like Castlevania. They adopted, and this is kind of like what annoyed me a little bit, is that they started buying product that was already finished and then calling it a Netflix original.
Yeah.
Like that's what happened with JoJo.
Yeah.
The animation.
Did they really call it a Netflix original?
They did, yeah. It's got the Netflix.
I think they do that with a lot of stuff.
And I hate that. I hate that branding choice. That has nothing to do with what I'm saying, but I fucking hate it.
They had no they have no. It's weird because I don't think when they do an original like that, I don't think they have a say in it. I think they just repurpose someone else's like ideals and properties.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's what happened. And I'm sure that the people whose license are buying have some sort of say around it, and they like, we will let you do that or not.
Yeah.
And if you put enough zeros at the end of a paycheck, most people will agree with anything. But interestingly, I think it's like once those properties started leaving, Netflix had to push their originals. But there's more content is leaving the platform.
Yeah.
Than they can supplement it.
Yeah.
So it leads to really bad quality content being made as a Netflix original because it's cheap, it's easy.
Yeah.
And you just pull it there to populate the platform.
Well, you gotta think. It's like Netflix used to have just a massive library.
Yeah,
I mean, they have so many shows.
Pretty much every movie that you could think of was on Netflix.
Yeah, at some point it's been cycled through there.
Mm-hmm.
And now what's happening is like all these other streaming services are coming in. They're pulling out a lot of their TV shows. They're like, we need this for our own streaming service. Yep. Netflix is just left with a gaping hole where they're like, all right, we got to fill it with just
with garbage.
Yeah, we have to
fill it.
We have to mass produce.
Yeah.
More quantity than quality here.
And so I don't know. Like I went to film school. Film is expensive. Like filming anything is expensive.
Yeah.
Like even a relatively cheap show can run you $2 million.
Well, that's why they're in debt.
And so Netflix losing money making content for the platform that nobody's watching because the content is bad. And then in the event that they do get a good show, they cancel it in 3 seasons before the audience is ready to stop watching it. And so people are feeling cheated by Netflix, I think. Like imagine if like you found a really good show on Netflix and it ended on a cliffhanger and then you find out that the show's canceled. It's like you're just not going to go back to it. You feel kind of disappointed and cheated about it. And so I think Netflix is making a lot of bad decisions in that regards. They're canceling shows that are popular. I don't know if Ozark has been canceled yet. I don't know if it's waiting.
No, I think it's ending. I think it's not going on its last ending. Yeah, they're doing the Attack on Titan model where they're having like 2 parts of a final.
I fucking hate that. I fucking we talked about it recently. I fucking just don't divide the season.
Again, Stone Ocean was divided
in half, literally in the middle of like the worst time it could have been divided in the Stone Ocean.
So you're doing a binge model, but you're also breaking the season into parts.
And so like by the time that
because you're only going to get like when the next part comes out, it's going to be in 6 months, and now you're only going to get like 4 or 5 more episodes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has to do something with the animation, like just trying to animate and everything like that.
No, Jolene JoJo Part 6 was being animated halfway through. Like they stopped and they were animating the rest of the season. They were putting the finishing touches. I wish they would just animate the fucking thing and release it weekly. That's like the best.
Well, and typically that's how they've always done it, but it's Netflix, and Netflix is. Who knows what's going through their head over there? Like why they think that was going to work? But and this might be just them testing it out. I don't know, but maybe that's their solution of trying to. I just thought of this now, but like maybe that's their solution of trying to like keep it binging and
keep it bingy, but still put some hype in it.
Yeah, because it died off immediately.
Yeah, it lasted like 2 days, 3 days.
So I think they know that from that being, but it was like they don't want to change to weekly episodes because that's changing the whole Netflix model.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think that in terms of social media, we live in such a fast-paced world. So what I'm actually trying to say is that when you run a corporation like Netflix and you experience loss, you see your user base steadily declining and you see your content not being as good as it is, as the CEO, you and your board of directors go into panic mode, right? Because they got however many shares, they got millions of dollars invested in this fucking company. And so you start going like, oh shit, how are we going to fix this? What's going to happen? What do we do? Let's just try everything that we can think of.
Yeah.
And then it drives your consumer base away because all of those things, like right now Netflix is talking about monetizing the 30 million password shares accounts that they have.
Yeah.
Something like that. There's like 30, and this may be a specific market. I don't remember the exact wording in the article. But Netflix has probably about $30 million worth of user accounts that are not actually paying for Netflix because they're sharing the password from someone else.
Yeah.
My Netflix account goes to 3 people.
Right. And whose doesn't? I mean, like,
yeah,
if no one's just paying for Netflix and not using someone else's, or like, it's
and
each account is
barter. You have to be like, I'll give you my Netflix password if you give me your HBO password.
Yeah, and I've done that before. Yeah,
expensive. It's crazy. And so Netflix has got about $30 million, if I remember correctly.
Just kind of sitting on the table.
Just being potentially monetizable, but they can't access that money. And so they're rolling out in South American markets because every experiment goes through South America before it makes it to the States.
That's crazy. That's wild to me.
Even in terms of content.
I guess because they think they're not going to dog them on the internet if they run it through there. Like, what the hell is this?
But I think Chile and a couple of other South American countries are running into paid sharing programs.
Well, I was like reading some articles about this, and it was like running like stuff like that in India is more financially better for them, I guess, because they don't want to pay the $15 to $20. Like in poorer countries like that, they don't want to pay the $15 to $20. But they're more likely to sit through the ads just to get to the streaming content.
Well, I'm not talking about ads yet. So I'm not talking about the adverts.
Oh, what are you talking about?
I'm talking about there's a plan. So like right now the plans on Netflix are like $10 you get 480p resolution, $15 you get standard high definition, and then $20 you get 4K. And so you get like an amount of screens for those programs. You get like 4 screens on the 4K program. So now they're talking about adding more money. So now the $20 would be 1 screen, and then they would have a share plan, which means that for every screen that you add, they would add a fee.
I thought they already did that. Like you ran it, because it used to be you had a limit. You had I think it was like 3. I want to say back when I was looking at it, it was like at 3 screens. Mm-hmm. You could have up to 3 people watching.
But
then if you had someone else trying to log in,
it would kick somebody out.
Well, it would kick somebody out, but then it would say add more or upgrade to like 5 screens for
$10 and so that was kind of the model. It was like 4K gives you 4 screens, and then that was kind of like the cap on that, I think. But now they're saying like you can have as many people as you like, but we're going to monetize those people. And we're going to charge a fee for every screen that you want to share the password to.
Yeah, it's like it's going to keep going up.
So now it's a platform whose content has declined. The user base has seen that it's declined. The user base is no longer interested in the platform nearly as much. And now you raise the prices up to $20 a month last year. And on top of that, if I want to share my password, you're going to make me pay more money. To do that. So not only are they failing in content, they're failing in retention, they're failing in marketing, they're failing in like their own content creation, like their own studios. They're also going to punish the viewer because of all of those failures and make them pay more money.
I think they got a little bit too high up on their horse when Squid Games came out. Because Squid Games when that came out. Now I will say about the whole binging thing that actually that one wasn't too affected by it. Yeah. People were at different points, but people kind of just revolved around that first episode a lot. Yeah. No one really ever tweeted about the last episode.
I guarantee this is I promise you 60% of the people that said that they watched Squid Game only watched the first episode.
Probably.
Guarantee you.
Yeah.
That's why the first episode is so much conversation.
A lot of people watch it in dub too, which... Yeah, and people are like, this... I remember that was a whole conversation too about like, this sounds awful. I was like, because you're watching it in English dub. Like, it's not... It sounds terrible because it is terrible.
Yeah, it sounds awful. So yeah, like, go ahead with Squid Games. Sorry,
but like, just... A point. They saw that it was doing extremely well, and then right after Squid Games, they're like, okay, I think we're down in the hole by like 27 billion.
Squid Game and Netflix
no, hang on.
original?
Actually, I have the debt here. I think it's by 2025. Where was it? It was like 2025 is going to be like
50.
Oh my god, where was it? I had to pull it up. Oh my god. By 2025 through Netflix, they're having nearly $7 billion in debt.
Oh my god.
Within 3 years span. That's by 20. That's a prediction. But that's how bad they are in debt. They were in that much. They're going to be in that much debt. Yeah. I think their analysts. They're probably like, dude, we got to change.
They're freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, they were like, we're going to have to make a little bit more money. We're going to have to put some ads. Someone had some paper over their mouth while they're in the headquarters. And they're like, we're going to have to put some ads in.
There's some dude going like, listen, man, I don't want to fucking. alarm you, but we're fucking running out of money.
We are in so much debt. We are going to have to add. So they saw that, and then they were like,
There's
all
just
right,
an
we're going
accountant in the back room just fucking...
so someone, it's just a sweatshop. He's got like armpit stains. He's like, oh my God, dude. We are so screwed.
He takes off his little green hat and just fucking starts crying.
The little visor thing. What was the point of those? I never got, but why are they always wearing them?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm sure it has something to do. I'm sure there's a reason.
Just to keep the shield, the light shielded from your eyes. But they saw the Third Debt, and then they saw Squid Games. This is my theory, by the way. They saw that, and then there was like, all right, we're just gonna roll out some new plans after we've hit some success here, so that's good. And we'll sandwich that in between Stranger Things, so they don't freak out too much because. Yeah. So I think that's what they've done. They've had a high success on a show. They're like, we're gonna roll out all this stuff, and then we're gonna release something new and kind of distract them a little bit.
Just like, oh, we're charging $25.
But you can obviously see that they're gonna start trying to get all this out before Stranger Things come out, because that's gonna be a big pull for people.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that we're seeing all of this press, like that CEO has started talking about this and whatnot recently. I think their hand got forced a little bit because they did raise the price up to $20. And people were like, hey, why are you raising the price?
It kind of is dogpiled. I mean, like they had one thing, they just, they had to raise the price, and then all this other stuff started coming out
following behind. So I'm glad that they're being somewhat transparent with their intentions. Like they know that they're trying things out and whatnot. I don't mind that. I just think that they're making all the wrong decisions when it comes to how to retain a customer base. Because everyone that I talked to was just like, do you use Netflix? And I'm like, no. And I'm using Amazon Prime more and more to watch movies that I want to watch, because
Amazon Prime has a weird, good selection. They have some weird movies, niche movies that I like watching. That I'm like, yeah, you really couldn't find this anywhere else.
Yeah, but you have to rent them.
Yeah,
so like
I do
rent. I'm like, why do I have streaming services other than HBO Max? Like it's fucking. As a consumer, you're asking yourself, am I getting a value out of Netflix? And there's just simply not. And then Netflix, the one place that they were kind of thriving was animation, and they dropped a shit ton of their animation studios.
Yeah, well, they fired their creative director leadership.
Yeah.
Phil Rita.
Phil Rita.
Right, Rita. I think
How's
Phil Rita. That's a RYNDA.
Rita?
Rita? I think, yeah, Phil Rita. Him and then several of his staff was all let go. It's just because like they feel like they. I remember I read an article, and it was something about like, I think it's from IGN. I have it right here. No. The cancellations come through immense rumors of changing directors in Netflix animation. We want to be the home of everybody's favorite show. Reed originally told creators, but the mantra was replaced by, we want to make shows. We want to make what our audience wants to see. So
I think they don't know what the audience wants to see at all.
Then they said, this is what really kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It was like Boss Baby is taunted as the pinnacle of how animation should perform on Netflix.
That makes me want to kill myself.
Despite the fact that animated series isn't owned by Netflix at all. It's licensed by DreamWorks.
That makes me want to die.
Yeah. When I read that too, and I was like, what?
Boss Baby is, it on a number basis, it makes sense.
Right.
Because the mainstream audience is going to watch Boss Baby over Castlevania.
Well, I can tell you why it does good. I can tell you why that little watermelon little creature does well too, whatever its name is.
What the fuck are you talking about?
It's something with a C, like, I can't remember what the name of it was. Someone said it out loud the other day at work, and I was like, it's like this water, it's a baby. It's got like a baby. It's something with a C. Someone's punching the air right now. I was like, I know what it is.
What the fuck?
It's a super popular, it's a crazy popular show on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's a children's show.
Yeah.
But what happens is like parents just plop their kid down in front of the children's cartoon show.
The TV, yeah.
And just let them just watch nonstop, like rewatch it over and over. That's the only reason why it does numbers.
I mean, yeah, but even so, like a mainstream audience, like how many people do you know are going to watch fucking A24's Everything Everywhere All at Once with the Daniels? How many people do you think that's going to hit on a mainstream audience?
You know what?
What?
A mainstream audience? No. but like I think it's got a pretty good niche following.
It's got a great niche.
A24 is really not even indie anymore.
No, it's part of the mainstream now.
But
that movie is going to have a 10th of the numbers.
Yeah, Boss Baby.
Boss Baby.
In hints, we're talking numbers wise. Boss Babies is better than anything A24 has ever made.
And so like and of course Netflix doesn't have access to any of the Marvel shit.
Yeah,
like they used to.
That was frustrating when I saw like all the people are like getting mad that they canceled like Daredevil, and I'm like,
Are you surprised?
I was like, what are you talking about? Shut up! Like Disney Plus was like becoming a thing. Of course, they wanted their shit back. Like they didn't cancel it; they had to give it up. Their contract expired.
Their license went away.
And Netflix or Disney was like, "You're not going to get to renew this." No. And then obviously Disney's put it on their streaming service. But I was like, I was kind of frustrated with people. I was like, "Are you all stupid?" Like
it's because a lot of people don't understand.
And it baffles me. But as much as like people are on the internet with media, I'm like, you should have realized this. It should be obvious.
So them knocking down the animation studios in favor of like making what Netflix is doing, they're not trying to please or say what fans want to see. They're trying to make the content that the people that are still paying for Netflix want to see.
Right.
That's really it.
It's almost like the model like what the fashion industry has is like you make something that you want people is going to see and they want to wear it. You don't make something that people want to wear.
Right. You make something good and then people will want to watch it.
Right.
Rather than making something that the people that are in your
don't give them what they want. Good. And exactly why the binge model has failed them now. It's because you gave people what they wanted and now they don't want it anymore.
They're like, this is boring now.
Yeah, now it's like
do the weekly format. And especially like there's a big social element, but we've all been so isolated during the pandemic that like we want that unity of watching something once a week and then talking about it and then having conversations about it. That's a big element of it for sure. But I think docking the animation studios, getting rid of that amount of staff, is one, a desperate move in saving money on expenses because they feel like they're hemorrhaging money.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, we'll get rid of like $5 million, $10 million a year for the staffing department and like this type of content.
Well, I can tell you what's happened. Mm-hmm. They've cut animation. They felt like it wasn't performing like it should have.
Yeah.
They've taken that money that they were paying their salaries, and then they gave Stranger Things $30 million an episode budget for season 4. That's what's happened.
And I'm sure that some of the money went to Stranger Things. I'm sure that some of the money went to the CEO. I don't know how Netflix spreads out their money. But Stranger Things is on its way out. The actors, like I can already tell that they're not interested in it. Season 3 was bad.
God, we watched them grow up.
Yeah, it's like fucking Finn Wolfhard looks like Danny Sexbag now.
Yeah, God, he looks like he hates the show too. I mean, like he's like,
it's like fuck.
He's locked in now.
But the contract, man, that fucking contract, they locked you in as a kid. You're their slave now. Netflix owns you, baby. So that being said, I think just all of the decisions that Netflix has been making the last couple of months have been to the detriment of the platform.
Yeah.
Bad content, bad, how do you say it? It's like they want to throw money at the things that are bad. Like the only good thing in Netflix right now that I can watch are the true crime series. And that's because those are notoriously easy to produce.
Yeah.
People on YouTube do them way better than Netflix.
I mean, podcasting.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many damn podcasts now where it's like murder mysteries and stuff like that, which that could be a whole topic on its own because like this weird fascination with people with death and murder and everything.
I'm one of those guys. I fucking love true crime.
You know what? I'm not crazy about. Well, I like serial killer stuff, but you know what really gets me off is like cult stuff. It's something boggles my mind, or I'm like, you just had these people believe in just nonsense, and it just made it work.
If you were a shittier human being, you would start a cult. You have the personality for it.
I have the glasses for it. Yeah. I could go down to Waco, Texas right now, man, and just have like 40, 50 people.
Yeah, no, cult stuff is fucking crazy.
Yeah, I love it.
Did you know that Jared Leto has a cult now?
So I've seen that thing going around on Twitter, and then I saw someone actually debunk it. It's not. It was like some kind of retreat thing, and that they were doing themes on a day and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was like an all white theme day. Because there's one guy in the
buy it.
photos that's hilarious, dude. He's wearing a big Marvel t-shirt and his mouth is wide open. And he's like just in the crowd of like all these normal looking people. And then it's like the meme where the guy's like got a shitty beard, hairline. He's like, like that. There's one guy in the crowd that's just like right there in the front. And he's just like at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jared Leto's a weirdo.
I don't buy it. I actually think it's a cult.
You think he's a cult?
I think it's a cult. I think they said that to cover up the fact that it's weird and culty.
I think he has some weird like sex thing going on.
I don't think that he's
basement.
gonna like kill all these people in like some Kool-Aid incident, but I do think that he has a sex cult.
Wasn't there a thing about like? I should probably talk about this off camera, but like there was like a thing about him being a cannibal. Or there was like
Armie Hammer.
Armie Hammer, that's what it was. Yeah, there was a celebrity that was like us.
Yeah,
that was wild. That was like I love
crazy.
that week. That was a crazy week.
That was crazy, and that was like he released that week. He said I was joking. And it was just a bad joke, and that people couldn't get it, and I was a little bad taste.
I was a little hungry. I'm sorry.
And then the same week, or the week after that, they released voice messages from one of his exes in which he literally said something akin to the effect, I am not joking. I want to eat you.
That's the like almost like an SNL skit like where he's like, I was just joking. We actually have a lot of footage and he's like sitting there and it like hard cuts, they're like, I'm not joking. I really want to eat you.
But he sounded like really desperate and like just like down bad, that like horny when you're sexting somebody. And you kind of have to, I'm not joking. I really want to eat you. Like kind of thing. It was fucking wild.
Most insane, like you play it back a year later, like, oh my God.
Jesus. So that was insane. Sorry for all the victims of Armie Hammer.
What a crazy last name too.
Yeah.
Like Armie.
Crazy. But yeah, I think it's clear to me that Netflix is dying. It's clear to me.
I think it's definitely on its way out.
It's not, and it's gonna be a company it's gonna be like Facebook. They're gonna. Facebook started seeing bad user relations and bad, just kind of like, just bad everything in general, and then they rebranded to Meta.
Yeah, well, that was to dodge a lot of legal problems they were having, because you can't charge something that doesn't have any money.
Yeah. So I think Netflix is gonna do that.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna go through a rebranding. They're gonna like try to reassess what's working, what's not working, and they're gonna see a huge loss.
Yeah.
And then maybe another CEO comes in later and then he revitalizes it. But I don't know. It seems like they're
gonna have a CEO come back and they're like, guys, we're bringing it back. Old school Netflix is coming back.
You know that gif of the
we're gonna start doing DVDs in the mail again.
You know that gif of the old white dude that's like walking into a locker room and he's like celebrating with everybody. He's like screaming. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's what that CEO is gonna be like.
Yeah, guys, we brought it. I do want to say before we end the show, I wrote a little thing here, and I know you didn't get to see it.
I didn't.
But I know you're gonna. So just imagine this, right? Like Netflix, it's defeated. It's dead. It's done. The company's gone. It's dead. This is like years later. It falls deep into a shadow. From the a laughter comes from the shadows. Like from a dark corner of a room.
Yeah.
He said, "You could not live with your own failure. That's what brought you back to me." Emerges from the shadows. It's Blockbuster. They quoted Thanos.
Your own arrogance has let you wear.
That's it. Yeah, it's like right
back to me.
Because if you really think about it, Netflix has walked the same path exactly that Blockbuster has done now.
That is the funniest goddamn thing. You came up with that?
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing.
When I was writing it, I was like, this could be a really good joke. I could really make a good meme out of this, but like, I'm just going to put it in the podcast.
I wish I knew how to draw so that I could make that out.
I might go home and make it later. So right back to me.
And where did it lead you?
You couldn't live with your own failure.
I am inevitable.
Dude, that would be the best thing in the world if Blockbuster just came back out of the dead, just resurrect itself and crushes Netflix. I want to see it happen so bad now. I'm I'm speaking into existence. We're gonna manifest Blockbuster coming back from the grave and just killing Netflix.
The last thing you see is fucking Blockbuster. Like Tony Stark just about to like snap his fingers. I am Blockbuster.
I am
Just fucking...
I am the block that will bust. Dude, I can sit here and write jokes about this. Blockbuster's like, I'm about to bust your block up, boy. All right. Theme song.
Oh, that's so fucking funny. Good one.
I was like, all right, so now that we've done the theme song at the end of the episode, that I just remembered to do it because I forgot to do it last week too. Guys, thank you for coming up. Thank you for just bearing with us this week. We kind of been in just an absolute mess and a rush today. But yeah, thank you so much. That's Bryan Archia.
You can find me on Twitter at Bryan Archia, and you can find me on Twitch at Bryan Brownie, which I am back with a new schedule. It's going to be Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays.
That heat sink fixed, boy.
Because my PC is fixed now.
Yeah,
so starting next week, starting the Tuesday that this releases, I'll be live that night around 6 p.m.
Go watch them. Yeah. Watch two. Get your daily dose. Get double bang for your buck, double Christmas,
baby.
I'm Jordan Crockett, and you can find me at Cyber Calamity on Twitter and Twitch.
Perfect. Hell yeah.
See you guys.
Make sure you join the Discord, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, link in the bio.
Bye.